This is called the exchange. My brother shakes me awake. Through gauzy eyes I barely decipher the time. A blur of boxy digits glowing green on high-tech home theater equipment. Stacks of softly humming boxes adorn a giant television. The newer devices placed with care above their older, larger counterparts.
DVDs give way to VHS tapes on racks that line the walls,
jutting
wrap
up
around
framed
framed
corners.
posters of famous actors in foreign films.
Jutting up.
My Uncle Pino give way to VHS tapes on racks that line the walls, wrap around corners, jutting up watching framed posters of famous actors in foreign films. Today, though, he must already be downstairs. My Uncle Pino, whose name is actually Joe, typically starts the day in this room, watching soccer or the Italian news.
Today, though, he must already be downstairs.
Late October
dawn,
deep blue, backlights Venetian blinds
on tall, narrow
casting
windows,
Luigi, my brother, in broad-shouldered silhouette. He rushes off, leaving me on the couch, hands over my eyes. I'm the one of us still resting, after all that my brother has endured.
He arrived the night before, very late, after a series of phone calls between us that began mid-afternoon and persisted well past midnight. Coordinating his arrival at the house required the input of a small committee, each member advocating a subtly different optimum route. My father erred on the side of shortest distance, disregarding traffic and speed limit, Why would you go west to go east? While Uncle Vinny tried to minimize travel time, predicting with authority the congestion of every major highway between here and Camp Lejeune, Luigi's duty station in North Carolina. Uncle Pino, who knows the neighborhood best, fine-tuned the exit strategy from the Bronx Expressway. I compiled the final choreography from this patchwork, and requested occasional revision from the committee as Luigi phoned in progress reports from each successive northbound roadway.
The main dining area, a dirt floor,
more space,
so my grandparents borrowed their crisscrossing the city and rented the occasional taxi, used cars, children, subways. Earlier that day, I needed my own set of directions, which Uncle Vinny gladly provided. He has a subway and bus system map in his head, imprinted over the course of decades spent moving among the boroughs of New York City. The first apartment near Fordham, the artist studio in Alphabet City, the single family home and marriage turned divorce deep in Queens, the one bedroom in Washington Heights. He crisscrossed the city and rented U-Hauls, used cars, subways, elevated trains, buses, the occasional taxi, deeply ingraining the route back to this house, my maternal family's home for half a century. My grandparents saved and borrowed their way to the down payment, a few thousand $1960. The basement apartment a few blocks away that my grandfather rented before sending for his wife and 7 children couldn't sustain the family, so they upgraded. More space, questionable conditions. A dirt floor in the basement. The main dining area uninsulated. Generations of repair muted evidence of poverty by degrees as siblings married off in turn, roughly in order of age, and emptied the makeshift bedrooms. They moved north, slowly colonizing Westchester in upstate New York. Eventually only my grandparents and Aunt Maria remained, a perfectly reasonable arrangement for a 2-bedroom house. Soon they didn't even need the income from the rented upstairs anymore, and my Uncle Pino, still single, moved in. He renovated, bought an espresso machine and a flat-screen TV. Sunday after Childhood Sunday, we made the car trip to this house for the big midday meal. But both my brother and I need directions to get here as adults. Now we come from points south, Camp Lejeune and Times Square. As children, we came from the north, Yonkers, then Brewster. The polarity is beginning to reverse. I rise slowly. This room is a sedative. The air thick and full. Cologne drifts down the hallway from a table in my uncle's bedroom, displaying every make and model. Molto Smalto, which I adopted in high school to profound effect with the ladies. Acqua di Gio, the most fun to say. Opium, Jupe. Their scents mingle. Their scents mingle. Their scents mingle. Their scents mingle. Their scents mingle by the time they reach the living room and sense memory engages. I'm watching the Sunday soccer game with my uncle as he discusses the finer points of the game. His resonant bass punctuated by the announcer's impeccable Italian that I sometimes understand. Or Luigi and I, having gained access to the video store lining the walls, are together negotiating a title not too violent for our mother, but not too dialogue-heavy for our father. A time-consuming and often unrewarding process. Like getting to my feet on this particular morning and making my way toward the stairs. The stairs clatter in this house. Their severe pitch requires a forceful descent, as if half falling. I compare my sluggish thuds to the remembered sounds of an aunt's Italian-engineered house slippers. The wooden heels slapping the flat of every step as their wearer charged downstairs, arms full of Christmas gifts or 6-packs of 7-Up. Perhaps I revised the sound over time, made it quieter and added a sharper point, a slower gait, a longer stride, a flat surface. Now it's the sound of women at work in unreasonable heels walking across the polished wood floor on the way to the elevators, and my response has less to do with childish giddiness and wholesome anticipation. The door at the bottom of the stairs is unlocked. It must have been an early morning. Both the deadbolt and the standard lock should be drawn tightly shut at this hour. There was a robbery years ago. They didn't come in the front door, and all they took was the pasta machine. Still, before bed and after an informal head count, someone turned the deadbolt for the night, discouraging entry and exit thereafter. Even in the middle of the day, someone needs to follow you out and secure the door, though deadbolting is thought to be excessive. Locking the door is the last topic of conversation, the final social interaction to coordinate. When you walk in, you lock the door behind you. When you leave, a representative from the inside takes over. Diligence and discipline define this house. The ritual at its threshold sets the outward bounds. So when Luigi pulled off the highway in the dead of last night, there was a stir at the door. Uncle Pino and my father drove out to meet him around the block, so he, unsure of the way, could follow them back. The final deadbolting had to be undone, but couldn't be left alone after midnight. So someone had to deadbolt the door behind them and let them back in a few minutes later, my brother in tow, and then deadbolt the door again. We expertly restored the rupture and ritual with no formal delegation of tasks. Everyone knew it needed to be done. I don't remember who finally turned the locks for the night. Nor do I know who undid them so early. The seals barely in place before someone broke them again. A small crowd gathers in the parlor, backs to the unlocked front door, waiting. I enter the room where my grandfather used to sit and watch the neighborhood traffic drift by. Outside the barred windows and beyond the iron gate. After he died, it became a guest room where my Uncle Sal would sometimes sleep, too tired to make the trip back to Albany. Then my grandmother gradually moved in. At first she watched TV here during the afternoons in a wheelchair. The wheelchair became a hospital bed paid for by Medicare. Eventually, she stopped making the trip back to her bedroom and simply lived in the parlor, fused to that bed, under hospice care during the day, while my Aunt Maria taught second grade at Mount Carmel, and under her daughter's watchful eye in the evening and through the night. My Aunt Rosetta came on weekends, did the cooking, sat with my grandmother in the parlor. Once in a great while, she defied the tumor encircling her spine and would stand or even walk. I could hear those rare occasions in my mother's voice, even before she told me, Nonna had a good day today. weekends, and weekends, and simple echoing her spine came on weekends, and weekends, and simple echoing her spine came on. I joined the silent circle around the bed, listening to my grandmother's quiet wheezing, watching her chest and stomach pulse. My impatience surprises me. Her breathing stops and we wait. The sound of an angry ghost slices through silence. We refocus on my Aunt Maria, wailing. The youngest daughter hardest hit. She presided every day over her mother's gradual deterioration. Perhaps she didn't even see it, like parents watching their children grow. Check the progress against photographs or lines drawn on a wall. Otherwise, change is imperceptible. You got so big, Uncle Damiano always said when he came back from California and saw Luigi and me. The polarity is beginning to reverse. You got so small, he might have said when he entered his mother's room the night before. Instead, it was simply Mamma, spoken with warmth, optimism, the word out of his mouth before his eyes could process the image. Then the sight of her broke him, laid him low. I warned him at the airport. She looks like a skeleton. He had to see for himself. She waited for Luigi. This seems to be the consensus as the room settles around her absence, though in truth, no one could tell if sta venendo, he is coming, could penetrate the haze of her slow shutdown over the course of the previous evening. When he finally arrived, he said nothing. Come stai? How are you? Likely would have been the extent of his Italian had he chosen to speak. The question must have seemed wholly unnecessary. Maybe grazie would have been a better choice from a limited vocabulary. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for going in my place.